going to go over your basic student beginner percussion kit. And the one that we're actually going to use for this video is by Percussion Plus. I don't know what the model number is, but this is a pretty typical beginner kit, and lots of companies make these. Percussion Plus, Pearl, Yamaha, etc., etc. There's a bunch of companies that make these, so I wanted to do a video that went over every part of your whole percussion kit so you knew what it was and how to set it up and everything. So first thing I just want to show you is you got your basic bag. Sometimes these will have wheels, and so you can roll it around, but this one doesn't, and that's okay. It's not terribly heavy in my opinion, but if you're a smaller person, the wheels are helpful. Here you have straps, so you can carry it like a backpack. Here you have a handle, so you can carry it like a suitcase. And on the outside here you have a pouch, and you can put in this pouch whatever you want. So in this case, we have a lunch and a pencil, and we have some books for band or drum lessons, whatever it is you do. So this is great so that you can carry all your stuff in one thing. Okay, then you usually have a place for a name tag, and we do that here. So you can keep track of your stuff in case you have to leave it somewhere and other people don't mistake it for theirs. And then they usually have two zippers, so you can open it up completely and fold it out. So now that we have it opened up, let's go over the different things that we have in here. You have your practice pad and a pouch for it. On this side you have a place for your bell mounts, and you also have a place for your drumsticks. I'm not really sure if this is supposed to be a pouch or what this is, but anyway. Here we have a pouch for your stand and for your music stand portion of your bell kit. And then when you flip this over, you have your bell kit. Now, it's important to use all these pouches. They're going to control all the parts of your bell kit so they don't move around when you're transporting it. If this was just a big open box, for instance, and all this stuff was thrown in there, as you carry it around, it's going to jumble around in there, and you might end up breaking like a screw on the bell kit, or maybe you'll nick up your drumsticks really bad, or maybe you'll bend this up really bad. So it's important to use all the correct pouches and everything that they put in here. It's meant to protect your stuff, because these aren't cheap. They're pretty expensive instruments. So the first thing we need to do is talk about the stand. The stand is what you use to hold up both the practice pad and the bells. So the first thing I do is get the base of the stand, this is called the base, and I loosen this part, and I spread the legs open. So the further apart that you spread the legs, the more stability you're going to have. And what I mean by that is, if you bump into it or whatever, it's not going to fall over. If it's too skinny, then it may fall over, okay? So I don't really recommend that you spread it out all the way this far. That's a little much, and it takes up a lot of space. What I would probably do is just something in between like that. Now you have some pretty decent stability, okay? And I'm going to put this on the floor in a second, but I wanted to go over a couple things. Whenever you have hardware, this is a piece of hardware for percussion. Anything you have to adjust, there's always going to be some sort of clamping mechanism, such as this piece, which is going to clamp the legs where I want them to be. And then this piece is going to clamp down wherever I want the top part of the stand to be. Whenever you go to move something, you need to loosen the clamp first, then move it. When you tighten the clamp, you don't need to tighten it as hard as you can. Tighten it only enough to keep it where you want it. If you tighten it too much, you may strip out the wing bolt, which is this part, or you may strip out the threading on the inside of the stand that takes the wing bolt. So if you tighten this too much, you might strip that out and might break it. If you have this clamped down and you start moving this and stuff, over time you're going to wear all this stuff down too, and then after a while it won't clamp down anymore. So here's your stand. Now on the top part of your stand, you have two things. You have this piece, which adjusts the tilt of the top of the stand. So if you put the practice pad on here and you want it tilted towards you, you would use that, or the bell kit tilted towards you, you would use that. The other piece you have is this wing bolt here, And this wing bolt is what you use to connect the pad to the stand or the bow kit to the stand. So on the bottom of the pad, you have this piece here where it will receive the screw from the wing bolt. So we're going to go ahead and put that on first. And make sure it's all the way on and tight. Now it's tight, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so usually what I do is when I'm setting up any stand, I try to set it up so that one leg is facing me and two legs are away from me. The reason why I do that is if I have two legs facing me, and this is a small stand so it's not really an issue, but if there was a bigger stand, these legs might be in the way of my feet, and to me, that's uncomfortable because I might hit it when I walk around and stuff. But if I turn it like this, now I suddenly have better placement for my feet if I need to get close to the instrument or walk around it. Okay, the other thing that I pay attention to is that tilt we were talking about. Right now it tilts this way, but I needed it to tilt towards me. So what I'm going to do is loosen this and then turn the pad so that now it tilts forward and backward. Now, I'm not exactly a super tall person, but I'm taller than most of you guys. So this doesn't need to get super high. That you want the height of your instrument to be about where your waist is, or another way to look at it is when you go to play, drop your arms to your side, bend at your elbows, and wherever your sticks or your mallet tips line up, that's about where you want the instrument to be. If I'm too low, now I'm down here, and it changes the angle of the stick to the drum, which affects the way it sounds and affects the way it plays, and it's also kind of far away from me. If I'm too high, which I don't know if this will get high enough for me, but if I'm too high, then I gotta do this. Hi guys. Which isn't very comfortable either. So you wanna be about waist high, or about, if you bend your elbows at a 90-degree angle, about there, okay? All right, so that's your practice pad. On your practice pad, you have the head. This head is interchangeable. If you break this, you can order a new drum head to put on it. The way the drum head is attached to the pad is with these screws and this top plastic piece. If you take it all apart, you just have to unscrew the screws, pull off the top plastic piece, and then you'll see how the head sits on there. When you pull the head off, underneath there's a piece of foam in the shape of a circle that sits on a bottom piece of plastic that is molded to that circle. It's very rare that I see people breaking these, but you do have to tighten them up from time to time. You can tell if it's too flat or too loose because it won't rebound very well. This rebound is pretty good. But this pad over here doesn't have a lot of rebound to it. I can push on the head and you can actually see it moving down. So this needs to be tightened up some. All right, so that's your pad. I'm gonna put this up. And I've done this a bunch of times. So what I just did there is pretty easy for me. For you, you'll have to get used to it. Okay, so now let's talk about the bow kit. Now the bow kit you can't spin on here. You have to make sure that you're placing the wing bolts directly into the place that it receives it on the bow kit, and then you have to tighten it with your hand from underneath. So usually I don't tilt my bow kit at all. I like it being straight up and down. And sometimes I even like it to be higher than my practice pad when I'm practicing because I can see the notes better and reach them better. So if we take our mallets here, usually you have a soft side and a hard side on these double mallets. One is for playing loud and one's for playing soft. These both feel soft to me, so I'm not sure if one's loud or soft or not. All right, so I guess the bigger parts of the mallet are a little bit harder. If I wanted to play quieter. And that's why they're double-sided. So you guys don't all have the same kits, so your mallets may look different than this, but one side's gonna be hard, one side's gonna be soft. So on your bow kit part, these are all the keys. You have your natural ones and your flats and sharps, and then these are rails that hold them in place. They're all attached with the little screws. If you're not careful with this, I've seen these keys break off, screws get bent. This frame is only made out of plastic, so I've seen these broken or chipped before. So you need to be careful with this part. This part is fragile. And this is also the expensive part. Anything that's metal is going to be expensive. Plastic's easy to make, so most plastic things are cheap. But metal, not that it's hard to make so much, but it's a little harder than plastic, and the material is expensive, so all of these parts are expensive. If you need to replace a key, it can be expensive to replace. If you have to replace the whole thing, then you might as well just buy a whole new bell kit, because this is really where most of the money is. Okay, so that's your bell kit. And I'm going to go ahead and loosen that. Oh, actually, before I take that apart, forgot. Let's talk about this thing. This is your music stand attachment. They're always terrible. I don't like them at all. But this is what they're for. You put them right here in these little slits on the music, or on the bell kit, so it'll hold your, there you go, like that. And then what you can do is place your music on there. So let me just take this packet of music here. So now it holds your music. If you put it this way, it doesn't work. Most music you get comes this way. It doesn't work. That's kind of one of the reasons why I don't like it. So sometimes they come with little clips that help you keep it on here. But anyway, this is a terrible design. I don't like it, but this is how they are. So that's how you use that. All right, so we went over the music stand part. Now that I'm done with it, I'm going to fight with it to fold it up and put it away in its pouch. The bell kit, I'm going to loosen it with the wing bolt. And everything I'm doing here is super important because I want your instruments to last a long time. I'm going to take my sticks, put them in these pouches here. All right, that's all good to go. Practice pad is in its pouch. I'm going to take the top part of the stand out, slide it into here, into this pouch, and then I'm going to take the legs on this base and fold them in. And then I'm actually going to tighten it. The reason why I'm tightening it is sometimes when you pull these out, it's not tightened here. Like if it's a bigger stand or a heavier stand, these might flop around a little bit and you could hurt yourself. So I'm tightening it down just because I don't want to hurt myself. And then you stick it in, either that way or the other way. Some pouches let you do it this way. I like it this way better because I'd rather the majority of the stand be in this pouch because there's more control there. And then once everything's good to go, fold it up, zip it up, and you're ready to do whatever you need to do. Now, when you set your bag down, always set it flat. And then when you open it up, always lay it flat. If you try to open it up from a sideways position, things might move around in here. It puts unnecessary weight on the bells, because even though the bells have their own pouch, all the weight of this entire bag is on your bells right now. So this is a really good way to bend those screws that attach the keys to the frame of the bell kit. So try to lay it flat always if you can, either on a table or on the floor. If you have to lay it on its side, try to do it that way. The bag is designed, it's got a little bit more firmness for you to be able to do it that way. If you have to do this is like not a terrible thing, but it's not ideal, is really what I'm kind of trying to say. Any questions about your bell kit? I think I covered everything. I think I did okay with it. No questions? Beautiful, then I did my job well.